whole lot of red has been on the way for a while now, but what was once an appreciation for the intricate ways in which Carti would drift in and out of social media and the power that held in orchestrating fans' excitement levels has now delved into fans indulging in any sort of peek behind the curtain that they can at this project that's been over 2 years in the making. Let's take a look at the cover art that was posted for this album, a collaboration between Art Dealer and Playboi Carti. The cover art for this album is heavily inspired by the many concentratedly grim and legendary covers of Slash magazine, a punk rock zine created by Steve Samioff and Melanie Neeson in the US from '77 to '80. Covers and features in the publication included David Byrne of the Talking Heads, Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, and so many more bands and artists who were breaching this gap when it came to stylization in music, from the indie new wave funk of Talking Heads to the anarchistic punk of the Sex Pistols and the Clash. The fanzine gave birth to Slash Records, who spawned bands like Misfits, whose style is clearly appreciated within the context of this cover. The Misfits are a punk band from the late 70s and early 80s era, infused with influences from vintage horror flicks to bleak, dark imagery. This was reflected as much in their image as it was in their lyrics, very much apparent in their 1978 album, Static Age. Dr. Static Age would prove to be a hit when it was released out of its infamous vault in 1995, almost 2 decades later. The energy of their shows was matched by their unapologetic flames that came out of their minds, helping usher in this subculture of punk into the 90s, infusing some deeply disturbing imagery with raging, lively music. So their album was shelved. Not incredibly rare, but makes for some improbable expectations for any success, especially after 20 years. But the songs and the band lived on after a breakup, touring again the year after the album released and continuing to tour till this day. We really never see moves like this in the age of modern music, with digital services managing to render many artists purely disposable, given the expiration date shown by their potential. Take, for example, Lil Pump, whose initial appeal has begun to wear off, with no new innovations, garnering little attention from the music, making other more controversial ventures more appealing.
How you guys feeling? I come here to say Deros, 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 Deros.
It almost feels like a treasure chest being unraveled, with each singular piece respected and innovated in their own ways. The horrorcore themes and imagery that has since spilled its way into rap, but still being inherent to the punk music and culture that many live through, and even more want to experience in the present. Artists like Playboi Carti have taken this template and found their own way to implement, innovate, and find their own style within the microcosm of punk. Just look at Die Lit's cover, from the emblematic wardrobe and styling of the crowd to the black and white palette, giving the impression of an 80s performance, and the obvious being Carti backflipping, rolling into the crowd with his middle fingers up in the air. With this cover and flip having been memed to Pluto and back, Carti's lively yet hidden presence on the cover is shown to us rather than told, an accomplishment that the album cover's photographer Nick Walker helped Carti pull off. Walker also did the cover for At Me, which came out earlier this year, and even mentioned how the whole concept was very punk inspired, which even reached back to his early music discoveries as a teen. The Misfits made their own music unapologetically and found an appropriate following decades later. Punk grew out of the garage, sprouting an inflammatory subculture whose reach continues to influence music, fashion, and self-expression to this day. I think Carti is punk, and I like to think that he would fit right on the cover of Slash if it was in production in 2020. A punk prospect that is only possible through the rule-breaking enigma that is Playboi Carti.